Hey YouTube, Common Collector here, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys an update to my Poker Night deck profile. This is just one of my absolute favorite sort of like fun decks to play around with. I actually brought this deck to a like a Jank or like Scrub League tournament a while ago. So we weren't able to play any of like the top four tier meta decks, but we were able to just sort of bring fun Jank decks. And so I've been playing around with this deck quite a bit, and I thought that today would be a really fun day to profile this one for you. So without further ado, let's get into the profile. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you guys are new here, and let's get on into it. So we're going to be starting off with 3 copies of Joker's Knight. Joker's Knight is like a super fundamental part of the deck because he's super important that he can take on the name of any of your Queens, Kings, or Jacks Knight cards. And generally what you're going to be doing with him is you're going to be taking on the name of your Queen's Knight, and then that's going to allow you to normal summon your King's Knight, and then you're going to be able to pop off from there and sort of, well, I wouldn't say pop off. Again, this is a Jank deck, so keep your expectations low, but this is still a very, very fun deck to play. So it doesn't do too much when it goes off, but it still has some cool plays. The other effect on him is also just that when he's in the graveyard during the end phase, you're able to add him back to your hand by shuffling in a light warrior monster from your graveyard. So then we go into the King's Knight, 3 copies of King's Knight, because when he's normal summoned, while you have Queen's Knight on the field, you're then able to special summon a Jack's Knight from your deck. We're then playing 2 copies of the Queen's Knight. I took this down from the usual 3 cards that you usually play. I think a lot of profiles are going to show that you're playing 3 copies of King's Knight or Queen's Knight, but I was just sort of finding in the deck building that it just made a lot more sense just to play 2, because you usually end up bricking or drawing into one of them. You generally just want to have them sitting in your deck so that you can copy the name with Joker's Knight, summon King's Knight, and those are the cards that you actually want to be drawing, so you don't want to be seeing Queen's Knight quite as much. Then 2 copies of Jack's Knight. Again, he's kind of bricky, so we want to just keep him sort of at a lower ratio. Getting on into the God cards, yes, we are playing certain Divine Beast monsters in the deck, which is just amazing. Absolutely love it, because it just makes it feel a little bit more like a Yu-Gi deck. But we are playing 2 copies of the Winged Dragon of Ra. This is another kind of weird ratio in here, just playing this as a 2 of. There's not enough room in the deck to play 3 of anymore, the way that I have the deck built, and playing 1 of just didn't seem like you're going to draw it enough. I want to have this as an option for when I lose the die roll and I have to go second. But otherwise, if you do feel like, if you find room, you can try to play 3, or if you don't like this, the 1 replacement I found, if you want to just play the 1 copy in the main deck, just swap this out for a copy of Unexpected Die, and then you're going to have 3 of those. So that's sort of my advice there. Sphere mode, funnily enough, allows us to be able to summon the Winged Dragon of Ra if this stays on your opponent's field for long enough. So that's pretty cool. Or you can just find other ways to summon Winged Dragon of Ra itself. And then my favorite of all of the God cards is Slifer the Sky Dragon. Being able to use this card as a floodgate is actually pretty cool. And then we have about 2 or 3 different ways in the deck to be able to try to protect Slifer while it's on the field. That way we can make sure that it sticks, and then your opponent's monsters will not. We are not playing Obelisk in the build just because he doesn't really like synergize with anything that we're trying to do. I mean, we can sort of beat into our opponent when we need to, so we just don't really need Obelisk. That's all. That's every one of the monsters that we're playing. So we're playing a very low monster count, but now getting on into the spells, we're playing 3 copies of Joker's Straight. This card is the like bread and butter, heart and soul of the deck. You absolutely want to see this in your opening hand every turn. Basically, what this is discard 1 card to special summon Queen's Knight from your deck, and then you get an additional normal summon to summon out a King's Knight or a Jack's Knight, but let's be honest, you're going to summon King's Knight, and then King's Knight is going to be able to normal summon itself, special summon the Jack's Knight, and then you're able to go in for some cool plays from there. And then it does the same thing as the Joker's Knight, being able to add itself back to your hand during the end phase by shuffling in a Light Warrior. Then going on into 3 copies of Thunderspeed Summon. This is your enabler to be able to special summon out and even search the God cards very easily. So if you have all 3 of your Queens, Kings, and Jacks Knights on the field, you're then able to search for the guys, be able to search for a level 10 non-dark monster, which is just going to be your Divine Beast guys, and then you're going to be able to tribute summon to put those on the field, and you could even tribute your opponent's monsters if you're trying trying to go in for that Winged Dragon of Ra Sphere mode. You just have to have the proper guys on the field. Then we're going on into 2 copies of Unexpected Die. Like I said, if you don't like the ratios of playing 2 sphere modes, you can just play 3 Unexpected Die here, or just find another replacement. But this card basically enables you to play almost 5 copies of the Joker's Knight, because you want to get Joker's Knight or go for Unexpected Die to special summon that Queen's Knight to the field if you don't draw the Joker straight. So that's kind of how that all is going to work out. But if you don't draw a Joker straight, you get Unexpected Die, special summon this stuff. So that's just sort of how that's going to work out for the deck. Getting on then into 2 copies of Triple Tactics Thrust, we have a lot of very powerful spell and trap cards in the deck that we want to search. So if our opponent doesn't have monsters on the board, then we're just going to search for our traps. You could even try to play this at 3, but honestly, the deck just doesn't have enough searching ability to where you're going to get like reliably hit by Ash Blossom and stuff. So realistically, to get hit by Ash Blossom and still be able to have enough gas. So in all honesty, Triple Tactics Thrust sometimes can be dead. But still, being able to just get you into like your big boss trap cards is still good enough sometimes. 1 copy of Call by the Grave, just to be able to stop our opponent's Ash Blossoms and whatnot. 1 copy of Reinforcement of the Army. Another option, again, if you don't like that sphere mode, you could play a copy of Triple Tactics Talent. You could really put that in as that 40th card in the deck as well. But Rhoda, being able to search for our King's Knight, is really great. Basically lets us play 4 copies of King's Knight into the deck, which is really, really good. 1 copy of Pot of Prosperity. This is a really, really sad consequence for like Tenpai and stuff getting really big, that it hit Pot of Prosperity to 1, and now this deck kind of suffers for that. And then 1 copy of Mound of the Bound Creator. We have a lot of different ways to search for this, or a few ways to search for this card, but it's really, really cool with Mound of the Bound Creator. We're not even playing Terraforming to search for it, and you guys are going to see when we get a little further into the deck profile here. But this being able to stop your Divine Beast guys from being destroyed and targeted by card effects is really, really great. And then if this card gets destroyed, being able to search for a Divine monster from your deck is also really, really cool. 1 copy of Double or Nothing, probably one of the coolest spells that we have in the deck. Absolutely sucks to draw, but it's a really cool card. Then 3 copies of Joker's Wild. This card also just insane. Basically, it's just going to copy the effect of your Joker's Straight, be able to copy the effect, and then you get to do all of your special summons and whatnot. You can do this on your opponent's turn and whatnot. And then if you get this card into rotation, it is again going to be able to add itself back to your hand by shuffling in a guy. Then the only like hand trap we're playing in the deck, just because we're so tight on space, 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Then 2 copies of Metaverse. Metaverse being your way that you're going to search for your Mound of the Bound Creator, which is just really, really cool. Being able to set this and then activate Mound straight from the deck, and then protect like your Slifer that's already on the field or something. And then for the last 3 cards of the deck, we have our 3 copies of Trap Trick. Trap Trick is how we're going to be able to get to all 3 of these like super powerful trap cards. If we already have Slifer established on the board, we can search for Imperm to be able to save it. If our opponent is going to try to like special summon an XZ monster or a Synchro or something in defense position, they don't lose the attack bonus, and then like they don't go down an attack and whatnot, and then the opponent's monsters will stay on the field. So having Imperm on the field to be able to like negate something that's going to target and like bounce Slifer or whatever is really, really cool. Or again, just Trap Trick, go into Metaverse, Metaverse into Mound of the Bound Creator, and now your opponent can't target you. Or if you don't draw into enough combo pieces for your Poker Night cards, then you go for the Joker's Wild. So you just have a lot of options. 3 copies of Trap Trick was a very, very serious decision that I wanted to make to kind of make this a more trap focused deck, but it actually ends up helping to give the deck the gas that it needs. It seems like it would be slower, but the deck just already has a hard enough time going that you just kind of need it. Getting on into the Link monsters, we have 1 copy of Arcana Knight Joker. One thing I didn't really go over is that your Joker Straight is going to lock you into only special summoning Light Warrior monsters for the rest of the turn. So very important to keep that in mind. So you need to make sure that you have some Light Warrior monsters in your extra deck. Unfortunately, since oh boy, what's the Isolde is banned. So since Isolde is banned, this is really the only good generic Light warrior monster that we have for a Link monster, so that's kind of unfortunate. But for some generic ones, we're playing 1 copy of IP Masquerena, 1 copy of Line of the Light Charmer, which is really nice to be able to sort of link climb with our opponent's stuff, 1 copy of Nightmare Unicorn. If you guys have SP Little Knight, you can definitely sub it in for this slot or somewhere else. I just still don't have it yet from the Megatin reprints. 1 copy of Access Code Talker, 1 copy of Moon of the Closed World and Underworld Goddess. These are just 2 nice ways to be able to steal some of your opponent's stuff and be able to sort of like link climb into your own things, use some of your bodies, but you just have to make sure that you haven't used your Joker straight and whatnot during the turn, so keep all of that in mind. Getting on into the XZs, we have a lot more light warrior options, including one of my favorite XZs, which is Utopia. Just absolutely love being able to play this guy, and just look at this beautiful, beautiful rarity. Absolutely love it. Then we're going to get on into 1 copy of Utopia Double. That way we can utilize our double or nothing. 1 copy of Satellar Knight, Star Liege Paladinamo, oh my gosh. 1 copy of Satellar Knight Deltaros, I got a little tongue twisted there. 1 copy of Baguska. Unfortunately, going, summon 2 guys, Baguska Pass, is unfortunately sometimes the best play that you can do, and then you're just going to end up sort of like protecting Baguska with like a trap trick on the field, and then going into Imperm or whatnot, some other kind of play. But this card, definitely important to have it in the extra deck. So very much want to have this there. 1 copy of Utopia the Lightning, just to be able to climb even higher on from our Utopia. And then our only other rank 5 that we're playing is the Constellar Pleiades. It doesn't really come up very often where you have 2 5s on the field, but it can still happen. And then since we're playing so many XZs, we might as well play 1 copy of Zeus. But anyways, guys, that's going to pretty much do it for the deck profile. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. I thought it was really cool just sort of how some of this stuff worked out. I'm just going to go really quickly. Again, just sort of trying to discuss all of the names that we have. So obviously your Joker straight and whatnot is going to be very crucial to the deck, but if you don't get into those, that's the reason why we're playing our King's Knights and our Joker's Knight and whatnot. So definitely keep in mind how all of these cards sort of work together. Your Joker's Knights, you're going to be basically playing 5 copies of those because you have your Unexpected Dies. And then your King's Knights, because you have Rhoda, it's basically going to feel like you've got 5 copies of him, plus you have your Triple Tactics Thrust to be able to search for some of these cards as well. So if you open these, you go for these first. Unexpected Die, summon out the Queen's Knight from the deck, or use your Joker's Knight, and then you have your 4 ways to get into King's Knight. Use your normal summon for that, go into your Joker's Knight. I just hope that at some point Konami actually gives us some better light warrior support. That way, like, we can actually go into some cool broken Link monsters, because the XZ pool is pretty good, but hopefully we'll get some good Link monsters in the near future. So thank you guys again so much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already, and we'll see you guys for the next one. Peace.